Hi everyone, I'm Gautam aka The Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation and a mindset coach, and today we're going to be talking about getting unblocked by your SP and keeping them for good. Now, before we do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching. I offer one-on-ones, courses, and masterclasses. I have a free Facebook group and a paid Facebook group, and last but not least, I also have a mailing list. If you guys need any information on any of those things, feel free to email me or DM me via Instagram for more information, and I'll be happy to guide you guys on those. And without further ado, guys, let's get to it. So I wanted to talk about this topic today because this is a common phenomenon that many folks actually out there experience, regardless of the country you come from, regardless of the circumstances that you face. This is actually a common phenomenon that many people actually go through when they are manifesting their SP. And I say that to reassure folks out there that if you are in this situation, rest assured, like, you're not the only one. And so don't be too hard on yourself, because I often see in the community people being really hard on themselves, or people acting like, they are the only ones who go through this. And as a result, like, this is such a unique circumstance that may not be reversible, so to speak, right? Rest assured, it is not the end of the world. Your SP blocking you is certainly not the end of the world. So just relax yourself and know that this is completely reversible. But that begs the question, why does this happen so often? Like, if you go into any Facebook group right now, you would at least see at least one story per week, easily. And this is something that I hear amongst my friends, amongst my clientele from time to time. And I'm not really surprised if that happens too. It happens so many times throughout my coaching experience that it doesn't faze me anymore. I know that is very common, but again, why does it happen so often? Why is this so common? It's a very common phenomenon because for many folks out there, their SP journey is the entry point into the world of manifestation as a whole. And as a result, they have not yet explored things like working on their self-concept, working on themselves, looking at their SP in a favorable way and whatnot, right? So what ends up happening is that when they try to tackle the whole issue of manifesting their SP without looking at the big picture, so to speak, and they go into it pretty much blind, in my opinion, right? Because when you look at how to manifest an SP, you find videos which places a emphasis on techniques rather than getting to the root of the problem. Videos which focuses on manifesting SP in a very short duration of time, say 3 days or 21 days, and that is very attractive to folks who get into this space. And rightfully so, because they are in a way desperate to solve a problem that they are facing right now. And I think it's very logical for those folks to be attracted to such videos. And again, no disrespect to the content creators even, because I do think that it is possible to manifest your SP in 3 days or 21 days. And there are many wonderful takeaways that you can get from these videos. But oftentimes when you are a rookie in manifestation, the thing that many people kind of miss out is the longevity of the situation. They don't look at the big picture, so to speak. And I'm all about that right now because, to be honest, I'm at a point where I'm done with quick fixes. So when folks do manifest their SPs back, they are not addressing the root of the problem oftentimes. And what ends up happening is that they end up getting blocked. And that is why this is such a common phenomenon, is because they are not addressing the root of the issue. And many times, if they don't address the root of the issue, if they don't address their self-concept, their perceptions, their childhood abandonment issues, if any, you don't, hold on to that relationship for a long time, right? You don't hold on to it forever. Because a lot of people have this misconception that, like, once you manifest your SP, it's going to be a smooth journey after that. And I feel like manifesting the SP is the easy part. Keeping them is, I would say, the real challenge, in my opinion. Because again, anyone can manifest their SP when they just focus on the techniques, or affirming, rampaging, for example, or reading the letter every single day, having inner conversations. All of us can do that. You can completely do that, for a while. And you finally see some sort of an evidence, SP reaches out to you and things like that, and then maybe it goes as far as rekindling the relationship even. But oftentimes folks struggle to keep their SP, and better yet, they find themselves being blocked again or for the first time, because things just gets worse than before, for example, and they wonder why is this happening. So that is why this is such a common phenomenon, is because folks don't address what's going on within. And if they don't address that, I feel like it becomes a constant cycle. And I have heard clients who will come back to me and say, you know what, like SP unblocked me, we got along pretty well for a while, and then after a few months, guess what, he blocked me again, things just went haywire again, I don't know what am I doing wrong. And that is because you are not addressing the core of the issue, your self-concept, your perception of them, your abandonment issues, again, if any. And these might seem like unrelated to SP in many cases, but it's all interconnected, right? Like it is all related to self. And again, the world is a mirror, everyone is just pushed out. So your SP is just one of many mirrors which is going to reflect back to you the issues that you have within. And that is not a bad thing, to be honest, because the good news is that means you can actually change things. You can actually turn the situation around. So that's why I said things are completely irreversible. And the main reason why is that everyone is you pushed out. The world is you externalized. Meaning that if you find something that is unfavorable out there, if you make the internal shift, the external will follow. And for many people, that might be a concept that is hard to grasp. Like, to be honest, like I understand it, but can I comprehend it? No, to an extent, like honestly, no. I have seen it time and time and again, but I think like comprehending it will take a bit of time. But you don't need to comprehend something to know that it works. Like electricity. You don't need to comprehend electricity to know that it actually works. You don't need to comprehend the law of gravity to know that it works. Like you're not going to just jump down a building to test if gravity does indeed work. No, because you may not be able to comprehend it, right? But it works nonetheless. Magnetism, things like that. Like you get the point. So you don't have to comprehend this law to recognize that it works. And so while you may not fully understand this whole idea of everyone is you pushed out, the world is a mirror, you don't have to understand it, to make it work for you. I say that because a lot of people will come and tell me, you know what, I can't quite wrap my mind around the idea that everyone is being pushed out, or I can't quite wrap my mind around the law. Doesn't matter. The truth of the matter is that you have and you always will be manifesting. It is a 24/7 process. Whether or not you recognize it, whether or not you realize it on a daily basis, guess what? Your thoughts are constantly creating your reality, and all you have to do is simply have favorable thoughts, think nice thoughts for yourself so that it manifests. So that begs the question, okay, how do I get unblocked by my SP, right? How do I get unblocked by my SP? And more importantly, keep them for good and not have this like so-called looming threat. Like whenever SP unblocks me, like my mind doesn't ask when's the next time they're going to do it. Because that's the question that many people have when their self-concept isn't on point. When that gives them joy, or it feels so fragile. The whole thing feels so fragile, to be honest, with many people. When SP unblocks them, as much as it brings them the satisfaction, for many people it's actually the relief, and they feel like, okay, don't touch anything. It's like a house of cards, and one wrong move and like the whole thing comes tumbling down. And you shouldn't feel like that with somebody who you're going to live an entire life with. You honestly shouldn't feel that way. And if you do, which most people actually experience, that means your self-concept, your perception of yourself with regards to your SP. Because mind you, you have different self-concepts for different areas of your life. So your self-concept with regards to your SP or people in general needs work. And that is very important to recognize that. And I say that because oftentimes when people get blocked by the SP, to be honest, if you ask me, I wouldn't bother affirming for getting a phone call or getting a message or getting unblocked. That is a quick fix. And if anything, it only builds up more resistance because it just brings the attention back to the idea that, oh, I am blocked by my SP right now. So what I would rather do is simply focus on my self-concept, the good qualities in me. Why would somebody choose to be with me? Why am I always the first choice? Why am I always chosen? And I would really focus more on that rather than focusing on getting unblocked or getting a message from my SP and things like that. Because like I said again, it only builds more resistance in some cases, and maybe you do manifest your SP back that way, but is it sustainable? No. So I would rather focus on why am I always being chosen? Why am I the first choice? And really building my confidence up from there basically. When you answer those questions, you realize that, okay, even if they go, they will always come back because of XYZ reasons. And you also get some time to work on yourself, become more independent emotionally. If you feel like you have a anxious avoidant attachment style, for example, you get to work on those. You get to reverse that. You get to see that, okay, nobody on the outside can give me anything, and it's only me giving them the power. Like, for example, nobody can make you happy unless you allow them to, basically. Nobody can make you sad unless you allow them to. And what that perspective does for you is that it makes you independent. Independent of what? Independent of your SP, basically. Because for once you recognize that, hey, it is not this person that makes me happy. It is the idea that I'm projecting onto this person that makes me happy. In other words, I am the one who gives the meaning that this person makes me happy. And that is the one and only reason why this person makes me happy, why this person makes me feel the love that I think I feel when I'm with this person. As a result, you start putting the emphasis on yourself and you become magnetic. But what does it mean to put the emphasis on yourself? Right? That's the question that many people have. And to me, that means focusing on your hobbies, focusing on things that makes you happy, and being grateful to yourself, basically. So I would always encourage folks to write down 5 things that you're grateful to yourself for every single day. So it could be as simple as showing up to a birthday party if you're an introvert, right? Because that is outside of your comfort zone. So if you do something that is outside of your comfort zone, if you stretch your boundaries, if you stretch your limits, you can be grateful to yourself for that, because that is a big deal. It might not seem like a big deal to many out there, but as long as it's a big deal to you, you can write that down as something that you're grateful to yourself for, or grateful to yourself for even pulling, off the day, for example. Because the thing is that sometimes going through the day takes a lot of energy mentally for whatever reason, right? Like we have a lot of things going on in our life sometimes, and just showing up to things and just doing things might just be the thing that, could be considered as an achievement. So whatever it is, I want you guys to find 5 things that you're grateful to yourself for every single day. And when you do that for yourself, you're going to develop a genuine sense of self-respect and admiration that is going to be reflected through other people as well. Why? Because everyone is you pushed out. And when you are literally thriving at that point, SP becomes an afterthought. And guess what? That's when they reach out to you, because your emphasis is on yourself. And because you are focusing on yourself, again, as everyone is you pushed out, your SP is going to come back to you as well. And the most important thing is that when they do come back, you are also not going to revert back into the old story. And that is the most important thing, that you're not going to revert back into the old story, the old way of you doing things. Why? Because you have grown and evolved and changed as a person. Your way of approaching things has changed. And when that happens, that is, in my opinion, the true success. So it's not a question of whether or not they will unblock you. It's not a question of whether or not it is reversible, so to speak, no matter what has happened between you guys. That is not the point here. The point is, when you just focus on yourself, focus on you becoming the best version of yourself, focus on you being grateful to yourself for the things that you do in life every single day, and being your best cheerleader. Basically, whatever that you expect from the other person, right? Whatever that you expect from your friends and family to do for you, when you do that for yourself, emotionally and mentally, through your inner conversations, through doing nice gestures for you, through just surprising yourself, treating yourself, and things like that in general, what ends up happening is that you become so independent, you become so magnetic, that it draws everyone to you. And you can pick and choose whoever you want to end up with. Not just an SP, like everyone will come, right? You will have an abundance of choice. You'll be spoiled in that way. And that is, to me, true alignment. When folks are really aligned, trust me when I say this, it feels like magic. Like I have a friend who I also consider as one of my closest confidants and a mentor in many ways as well. And this is somebody who is completely 100% aligned, right? She focused on herself, and guess what? Like, people turn around and, like, they turn heads all the time. They give her discounts and they do so many nice things for her. Like, it's impossible for me to keep track of all of it these days. And when it happens, like when we like speak, she always ends it with like, are we even surprised that it happened? And my answer is no, I'm not. But still, like, wow, I'm so happy for you. And that is what I want for all of you, is that I want you guys to be so aligned that nothing on the outside phases you, nothing on the outside matters. And guess what? They all come. Anyone who is considered your potential love interest, they all come into your lives. And guess what? You can then choose. You have an abundance of choice. SP then feels like an afterthought at that point. You're like, oh yeah, that person. And I want you guys to get to that point. I want you guys to get to the point where you are so focused on yourself, your progress, and you essentially, that SP sort of becomes a afterthought, which funny enough actually brings not just SP, but again, every potential love interest. And when you are in that sort of confident, secure place, it's not just to attract them back, but also when you are with them, right? When you are having that wonderful, loving relationship, you don't see them as your other half, right? You see them as a bonus to your already amazing life. And that is a huge difference. Because let's say if they don't text you when they are out for something, your mind immediately won't spiral. Your mind will be like, oh, they'll respond when they get the time, or when they see the message, they will respond. Of course they will. Where are they going? And I want you guys to get to that point even before you enter that relationship, because that is what again allows you to keep it for good. So as much as this video is about getting unblocked by the SP and things like that, for example, I want you guys to look beyond that. Think long term. I want you guys to really see the big picture here, right? And I want you guys to understand and recognize that getting unblocked and things like that is really the short term, viewpoint there. Like when you are again with them, you don't want to feel insecure. You don't want to feel shaky. You don't want to feel like they can just exit anytime and you'll be left alone. That is honestly a very terrible feeling to have. And even worse, to enter a relationship or to enter a marriage with that kind of feeling is probably the worst feeling anyone could experience, in my opinion. And I wouldn't want to wish that on anyone. So that is why I'm saying, like, when you are focused on yourself, you become so secure, confident, calm and cool that whatever that they do, you don't see it from a wounded perspective. You see things for what it is. For example, like, you guys can have an argument, you guys can have a disagreement, but you won't see it as, okay, will this be the end of my relationship? Will this be the end all be all? Or will they break up with me? Will they leave me? No. You would see it as, okay, this is part and parcel of a relationship, right? Like, there will be disagreements, but guess what? We're going to come to the table. We're going to be cordial about it. We're going to talk this through, and we're going to figure out the middle ground and understand each other so that we may love and grow in this process. And that's the perspective that you guys will see it in, and that's the perspective that you should have. That's the perspective that any healthy relationship will have, right? This reminds me, the timing couldn't be any more tragic, I guess, but I remember this scene from Friends, right, where Chandler and Monica, I think they just had a fight, but Chandler will ask like, oh, wait, we are still together? And she'll be like, of course, we just had a fight, like, welcome to an adult relationship. And that's just it for me. Like, you might have disagreements, you might not agree on every single thing, and you might find the other person's actions from time to time a little unacceptable, but you will always come to the table and your mind wouldn't spiral. I also want to address this from a long distance relationship perspective. Like, if let's say you are being blocked by your SP and you guys were in a long distance, would this approach still be the same, or would there be any tweaks you would make to it? And my answer is no, there's no tweaks. Again, circumstances don't matter, the approaches are still the same. And I would understand as to why somebody might think that way, but rest assured, in my experience, one thing I can say for sure is that distance is never the issue, in my opinion. Distance is rarely the issue. It's really about self, because I've had experiences where folks were in a long distance, and when they finally met the person, it didn't make a difference. Like, distance really didn't make a difference. Like, a person can still be beside you and make you feel like you're thousands of miles away from them, right? So I can safely say, and I've experienced this as well, I can safely say that distance is never the issue. The only reason why it feels like it is because you are making it an issue. And I understand where you guys are coming from, right? If you're in a long distance, like, because you are not in this person's presence, or you won't even bump into this person, social media is literally the only place you can access this person. And when they finally block you, it feels like this person didn't even exist at one point. And I completely understand that feeling, right? It's devastating, it's gut-wrenching. But then if you think about it, like, if you are meeting that person constantly and they're not even talking to you, guess what? That's equally gut-wrenching as well. So you might think like, okay, well, this is probably worse off than like at least the other situation where at least I get to see them or something, but to each its own, right? So I'm saying this because like I often see, Q&As where people ask me like, hey, well, if it was like a situation where I could meet this person, then I feel like I would do a little better. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't. I feel like it would actually make it worse in some cases, because you are constantly having to see unfavorable information, contradictory information, if you will. So the key takeaway is that whether or not you are in a long distance, the approach is still the same. You go inward, you focus on yourself rather than your SP, and you focus on becoming a confident person. You focus on becoming a magnetic person. Make that your priority. It's not to say that you can't affirm for your SP or that you and your SP are in a loving, committed relationship, but you have to make that a secondary priority, if you ask me, because when you focus on yourself, again, they all come, right? When you work on yourself, when you work on your shortcomings, or what you perceive as your shortcomings, I should say, your limiting beliefs, how you perceive yourself and things like that, when you shift that, guess what? How others perceive you will also change as a result, and they will all come, including your SP. And better yet, you will also be able to sustain your relationship in the long run when you are a magnetic person, when you are a confident person, because you wouldn't again feel threatened by any of their actions or a lack thereof. You know that it is, if any, just a short-term situation, for example. Let's say they don't text you immediately, or if they don't get back to you immediately through a call, or if they don't meet up with you during that week, for example. If something happens, you guys were supposed to meet, and if they just didn't meet you, you wouldn't feel threatened by those situations. And if you are in a marriage, if let's say they are moody just for a day or just for an hour, you wouldn't take it as a personal attack. Like, folks who do take it as a personal attack are folks who have wounds that are unhealed, essentially, right? So when you see this in this perspective, it really makes sense for you guys to, like, you will really understand why you need to focus on yourself, right? And that is why I want you guys to look at it from a larger perspective. Like, look at the bigger picture, like, right? Like, think long term. So as much as this video is about getting unblocked by your SP and things like that, like, this video is also about keeping them for good, which is why I probably will put it on the thumbnail as well, because unblocking is not the goal. Being unblocked by your SP is never the goal, right? It's very easy to unblock a person. Like, if it just takes a second for the SP to do that. But that's not the goal here. The goal here is for them to treat us like the god or the goddess that we are, for them to treat us like we are their number one priority, essentially, and for them to really cherish us and feel blessed to be in a loving relationship with us, and for them to do all the things that we want them to in our relationship, and for us to have a happily ever after, essentially. That is the goal. The goal is never to be unblocked. Like, it's very easy to be unblocked by a person. It's not a big deal. But that is why I want you guys to think bigger, to be honest. And when you look at it that way, you wouldn't be super stressed on what happens tomorrow or a month from now, because you're so focused on healing yourself and feeling that fulfillment within, because you know that everything is going to align itself as a result, that you won't feel like you are swimming against the river in terms of your job, in terms of your relationship, in terms of your personal life. You wouldn't feel like life is a chore for you, essentially, right? When you are in alignment, everything just clicks for you. And that is exactly what I want for you guys, is that when you guys are focused on yourself, everything just aligns, not just in terms of your relationship, but in terms of every single area of your life. So why just focus on getting unblocked by your SP? Why just devote so much energy and attention to just that one phenomenon, just that one incident, so to speak, right? Why not use this energy in a way that everything aligns itself for you? And when you look at it that way, you will feel silly in a way to just focus on getting unblocked. Like, get this, like, you are the operant power. You have the power of the God within you, and you're using that power to be unblocked by someone on Instagram and WhatsApp. Like, if you look at it that way, it's like, why would I do that, right? When I can have so much more than that. It's like saying you can manifest anything that you want, and rather than manifesting like $1 billion, you just manifest $1, to put things into perspective, right? It doesn't make sense. And look at it that way. Remind yourself of that, and come back to this video whenever you need that motivation. Comment on this if you do feel this way, right? Like, I want others to know that, others in the community do share this sentiment too, and really like encourage each other throughout this journey. Because like, I know like this journey can be sometimes a hard one, and I know like there are many communities and outlets out there where folks do encourage each other, and to be honest, it's very heartwarming to see. I know I criticize this community quite a bit here and there, but I also want to kind of highlight when I do see heartwarming stuff too. But one thing I'll say is that don't just like see it as, okay, I'm going to do self-concept, but I don't see it like working out for my SP or something like that, right? Like, don't underestimate the power of working on your self-concept, so to speak. Like, I get it if you are a bit skeptical, especially if you're a newcomer to this, but really, when you invest in yourself, when you work on yourself, guess what? Things just aligns for you in a way that you might have not thought possible, basically, right? And that is what I want for you guys to experience in your life. Like the friend example that I just gave earlier as well, I want you guys to experience that. So focus on yourself and remind yourself, okay, I am focusing on myself, not just to be unblocked by my SP, but to be in a loving union relationship with them where I am the number one priority, and where I am living the happily ever after with them, because guess what? I deserve it. It is my birthright to deserve it. So that's all from me, guys. If this video resonated with you, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Turn on your bell notification so that you guys will know when I upload a new video every single week. Now we are doing 2 giveaways right now. So the first giveaway is for my Instagram page, where I am giving away 1 month of DM coaching for free for one lucky winner when we reach 20,000 followers. All you have to do for that is to follow me on Instagram and tag other accounts in the comment section of any post for multiple entries. And the other giveaway is on my Threads page, where when we reach 1,000 followers, I'm giving away a 30-minute coaching call for free for one lucky winner. Winners will be announced across all different platforms if you guys are there. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.